Hey guys, what is up? I am back for the second part of the big data tutorial. So in this one, we are basically going to be configuring our multi-cluster Amazon server. If you are unfamiliar with this dashboard, make sure you sign up for an Amazon AWS account, get all your payment information done. Don't worry, for this tutorial, I think I spent, less than $1 in terms of setting up the servers and stuff. So you won't have to spend too much money, but you will have to provide your credit card information. And the various services that we will be using for this kind of big data series is we'll be using S3, which is basically a storage solution for storing a decent amount of data, which can be distributed to your various servers that you have running on Amazon. And then the other one, which if I can find it, EMR, is basically Amazon Elastic MapReduce, and it's just a managed Hadoop HBase framework. So this saves us a lot of time of having to manually install Hadoop and HBase on servers that we just get through EC2. This is basically EC2 with a bunch of stuff installed on it already. So let's go ahead and get started. If we click into EMR, you can see my previous cluster that I've created, which I've since terminated, but I believe we can just go ahead and we can either clone this existing one or you can just go ahead and create a new one. We're going to create a new one just to give you guys just some help in terms of configuring your cluster. So go ahead and give it a name. Let's do New York Taxi 2. Since we are going to be dealing with New York City taxi data, it's kind of a fun thing, a good thing to name it. Termination protection just warns us if our cluster is ever going to terminate. Logging, that's always good. Our log location, so if Hadoop and HBase, if they have any log files, we need to store them somewhere. This cluster is volatile, which means if it is terminated for any reason, we'll lose all the data stored on the cluster. So we want a good location that is persistent to actually store our log files. So this is automatically created for us. And if we actually go and view our S3, which is the storage thing we have, you can see the existing AWS logs for Elastic MapReduce are stored in here. So if our cluster ever terminates for some reason, we can go in here and take a look at the logs. And as you can see, here's my existing S3 bucket, which I'll be using to upload the CSV file, which we'll be importing into Hadoop. Debugging enabled, sure. Tags, you can add tags if you want. Hadoop distribution, this is basically the version of Hadoop that we want. We're going to use Amazon's because it's the easiest one to set up. The most recent version. We don't need the MapR Hadoop distribution. And these are basically different applications that are built on top of Hadoop. Hive, Pig, I'm not too familiar with. Hue, again, not too familiar with, but we just want to make sure to add HBase on top of that. So we can either restore it or schedule regular backups. We don't want either of these because this is a brand new installation. And we can remove these if we want. It's not really a big deal. So we're just going to go ahead and add HBase. We don't really need any sort of encryption. Network, we can use this one. The subnet. We don't really care. The only really difference between here would be pricing, since we're going to be using spot requests just to save money. If you're unfamiliar with how Amazon handles servers, you can either have a persistent, like I'm paying this amount of money for this amount of server time, and you're guaranteed that amount of server time, or you can do a spot instance that says, okay, I'm only going to pay this amount of money, and if it ever goes above that amount, then I don't actually want that server. But they're a lot cheaper if you do spot instances. So for a very basic Hadoop HBase cluster, we actually require three servers. The master is basically what Zookeeper will be running on, and the various various services that kind of manage everything for the cluster. It needs to be separate from the core, which is where the actual data will be stored and where most of the MapReduce processing jobs will be run. So we're just going to go ahead and have one of the master and two of the core, since that's a very simple small one. And we can add additional tasks if we want. If we have very large processing jobs and things like that, we can add additional servers, but this should be good for now. So we're going to ahead and request a spot for each of these. You can see the pricing for each of the regions. So that is, what is that, 3 cents an hour. And we're going to go ahead and put 0.5 for each of these just to ensure that we won't really run out. We'll use US East 1B, so that'll never really go above 50 cents. And if we run this for an hour at max, we will have to spend $1.50, which isn't very bad at all. Okay, that's it for that. And for security and access, I'm going to use my existing key pair that I have so that I can SSH into these servers. So I can do things like copy over my MapReduce jobs, run, compile things, stuff like that. I very, very highly suggest, like, required that you create a key pair. There's many resources online for doing that, so you can go ahead and handle that yourself. So again, I'm going to specify my key access, and IAM user access, you can just stick with all. Okay, and this information, don't really need to configure anything else. Bootstrap actions, you can do things like run custom tasks or things like that. Again, we're not really going to do that. We're going to SSH into our server and run any other installations that we need to do. And once you're done with that, you can just go ahead and hit create cluster. I'm going to, of course, create this a little bit later once I'm ready for the next tutorial. So that's it. Very simple way to set up a small Hadoop HBase cluster. And we will see what's next on the list. We'll be taking a look at our data set and then configuring our server next. So thanks for watching. Make sure to watch the rest of the tutorials. This is Quackware signing out.